So welcome to my second garden tour video of the year. We did the last one in March, so thought I'd give an update as to how the garden's looking here in June. And we're going to start off with the patio area. So a couple of seating areas here with the pots next to it. One's the covered arbour and then of course the dining table and chairs there. And then behind that is Philadelphus mock orange, just coming to the end, but smells absolutely incredible, almost like a kind of lemon sherbet scent. Really nice over the last few weeks. And then the passion flower, the triffid that I cut back, you can see now already starting to flower and covering all of that wall, looking great. And then round to this side you can see the rose, which I'll talk about a little bit later, growing over the summer house. That big pot there is empty. I need to find something to put in there. We've got the pizza oven and the barbecue looking out onto the decking area, and then over here are the alpines that I planted in a previous video. So you can see they're all doing well, looking great, really happy with how they've turned out. This makes a nice little display in that area. This is the rose that I planted in one of the videos, which is doing really well. The rose from my grandmother's house, Cecil Brunner, so that's doing great. Yeah, so moving over to the decking area, because of lockdown I couldn't replace this, it needed replacing, so I just cleaned it up and fixed it as best I can, but it's looking pretty good. We've got the seats out there. We've got the wood burner, and we've had a few nice evenings out there. And then, of course, the summer house, which we've temporarily turned into a kind of gym, yoga studio. So this rose that's growing across the summer house yoga studio, one of the stars of the show at the moment is Rosa Mulgani. This rose is grown in a garden down south called Sissinghurst in the White Garden. I've always loved it. I mentioned in the pruning video that I treat it like a climber, so I do cut it back quite hard every year, but it just absolutely rambles across the roof. It looks great. The flowers, beautiful white flowers, lovely sort of vanilla scent. Almost clematis-like flowers really, and yeah, one of the highlights of the year when this is in flower. In fact, it's the best it's ever looked. Moving into the yoga studio, and just to give you an idea of the view when doing yoga. You can see this pinky purple Centaurea cornflower, very sort of like almost a psychedelic look to that plant, really nice plant. So we're just heading down to the path. You can see the winter jasmine, the butylon, the wisteria there, which is long since done. And then a couple of tricks here. We've got the focal point at the end that draws the eye down, hopefully makes you want to journey down and have a look. And then a couple of shrubs growing onto the path just to break it up again. Lavender, and I think that one of the back's called Tom Thumb. This is a dahlia. I leave them in the ground. Beautiful yellow flowers. And next to that is a clematis, which we cut right back in one of the old videos. It's one of the Viticellas, and again that's looking fantastic at this time of year as well. And just having a look at these troughs, a mix of existing stuff that I refreshed and new alpines that I planted, but I'm really happy with how they look, and again just kind of breaks down the path, adds a little bit of interest. If we step in under here, we're at the end of the path, and this is the kind of treat for the journey really. Iceberg Rose, can highly recommend it. It doesn't really have thorns, it flowers quite prolific, and is really easy to maintain, really disease and pest free for the most part, and just, well, it looks great. And as I say, it's that little thing at the end of the path. You want to go down, you want to experience it. That's a little trick that you can put into the garden. And then just, you can see on the cherry tree, once the blossom's gone, we just have the clematis growing up there, and we'll have a look at that from the other side. It's a very thin strip of soil that I'm growing in on the left here. You can see the lavender enjoys it, but it's quite tricky to find things that do. One thing that does, and it's one of my favourite plants, is this Abutilon. I had this at my parents' garden growing up, and I just think it's great. These like almost Chinese lanterns growing down, and that's growing in really poor soil. So if you've got a really hot, dry area, you give it a bit of feed each year. Abutilon's a good choice. Over on this side, again, one of the things that seems to have done really well this year is the canna lily. I think because we've had a mild winter, it didn't really die back with a hard frost, and so it's kind of got almost in like a second year's growth. Normally it dies right back with the frost. Again, I don't dig them up, they just seem to survive in our garden. And again, this is very shaded. We've got the big laurel hedges, so difficult to find things to grow. This is a clematis, I think it's one of the Teixeira types, and this year I've put a cane across for it to grow along the back, so that's a bit of an experiment. We'll see what that looks like. If you've got a tree that has blossom and you want to give it a kind of second lease of life, growing a clematis. This is a Viticella Rouge Cardinal, but you can grow this. It scrambles through a tree, it looks good, and as I say, why just enjoy a tree once in the year when you can enjoy it again in the summer. And there you can see the back of the path, Bill Mackenzie, another Triffid plant, clematis growing up the other side, and that's the view back down the garden. Over into this corner where we've got the Aces, this one here doing really well, the one next to it doing really well, the one below it I repotted this year and it looks to have died, so don't let anyone think that we're doing everything perfectly here. That's a bit of a shame because it was a good plant, but it needed to be moved. You've got the hostas, which are eaten, but not as bad as they have been, starting to flower on the flower spikes, and they're definitely doing a lot better next to the pond where there's more wildlife to kill the slugs and snails. In that back corner is a clematis, which I cut right back this year, which meant we lost a year of flowering, but it got out of hand, so it needed redoing. Hopefully we'll enjoy that next year. And there's quite a few new plants that went in my perennial video in that bed too. And yeah, that's the view from up at the pond, and that's the end of the update. Thanks for watching, see you in the garden.